as someone who doesn't meditate, that's me. How often do you do it? What do you do? What is that? What do you do when you meditate?
I just sit on my butt like I did up there. Listen to my breath going in and out of my body. You know, well, you say you don't meditate, but I think you probably do meditate. I mean, you're a guy who was at business and neuroscience. So I always think, and I've always thought of my work as a meditation. Like what I do is a meditation. So there's a cooking meditation, there's a walking meditation. It's what you put your mind and focus to in a certain way can be a meditation. But what I do is I listen to the breath going on my body, and it tells me where I'm at. So sometimes the breath is a little, because I just got a phone call that said, you're not going to get this movie. And sometimes the breath is like, because I realize I'm going to get paid $100,000 to do a commercial for one day. So, yeah. You know. So my question to you would be, what goes on in my mind that equates the relaxation of happiness, pleasure, or pain? Because what I do is sit and try to not have any thought and let the thoughts go by and focus on my breath, which will slow down as I meditate and take me on the journey, which is the road inside, which is the road that I believe in my life, because I'll speak for myself. It's the road that some of us, or I, don't find as often as I'd like to because I'm too busy with the world. So these days I meditate every single day because it gets you hooked. Once you start and you do it, it sort of, you connect to something on a deeper level, which is the true self. And then I don't seem to worry about the $100,000 commercial. I don't seem to worry about not getting the next movie. I don't seem to worry even about when people I love and adore leave us, because I realize that it's their time. So everything becomes, as a guru said to me, all is well. And it helps me to understand that, and if you're a Buddhist, that this is a transient time in a human physical form. And to identify with pleasure or pain, which is what I've done for years. And it makes me want to ask you a bunch of 10 questions are popping in my head right now, because I do get pleasure from my meditative work. And I do get pleasure from certain things, and why not get pleasure? What's wrong with having pleasure? It's the attachment to the pleasure. And if you've ever been an alcoholic or a drug addict or had a predilection for anything that makes you sort of feel that you lose your inhibitions to get out of your body, then you know what that is, because it kind of feels good, because you're able to talk more and be more gregarious and all these other things. But you always have to sort of come back into this kind of form again, which is the crash after coffee, the crash after Coke, the crash after alcohol. It's the crash when you go, oh, I can't always live in that place. Well, when I listen to my breath, I can live in that place, and I can be cool with it, and it works for me, and it's okay.
How did you start?
I started in a bhakti yoga. My brother became involved in Siddha meditation, S-I-D-D-A-H, a long lineage of Siddha masters who basically don't do anything but sit and listen to their breath, but they also chant, which is called kirtan. So chanting is kirtan, so it's ecstatic praise. Sufis do it, yogis do it, many religions do it to sort of be able to kill the mind. So I started in a bhakti yoga, went to India, and I sat and learned the Guru Gita and chanted it every morning at 4 a.m. and chanted songs that were praising the divine goddess, God, and I became happier and more elated. And then as I moved through my journey, I've been an altar boy, almost became a priest, so you could say I love God. And I love the philosophy of the yoga that I was involved in first, the bhakti yoga, which allowed me the idea that God lives within you as you. And that was powerful for me, because all of my years as an altar boy, who I was going into the priesthood, that far away from going into the priesthood, because I like to help people, I like to talk about goodness, but it was always looking up to a God that was somewhere outside of myself. And to realize and there is that little story in Christianity or whatever, they would tell me that the key is inside you. You just have to find it. The key's right in your heart, and God put it there because he wanted it to be closest to you. And I never started to really figure that out until I started to breathe and go inside through this yoga that allowed me to realize that really is the truth. The key is inside you. And so now I think that, you know, for me to be just much more present in my being is to really heal myself first. But I like the hero feeling, the hero attitude. I like saving people. I like helping people be bad. I'm an enabler. I have been for a long time. You know, I don't want people to feel pain, so don't quite tell them the whole truth because that might hurt them. Well, this yoga has helped me just be realistic about what's happening. And certain people, it's like the buds of flowers. You see flowers, right? And they're all 3 or 4 roses. And some of them are open really wide. And the other buds are not open yet. And some aren't open at all. And that allows me to know in my heart that those buds open when they're supposed to. And you can't help anybody force it. It happens to them when their journey, and they're ripe for it to be open to it. So that's kind of how I started. Then I went into another yoga, which was a physical yoga, because I'm like really animated. I'm Italian, Giancarlo, Giuseppe, Alessandro, Esposito. So I'm really animated, and I realized that animation comes from an energetic physical being, body. And so I could never, I'm, ADD, all those things. I mean, if you want to label them, I hate labels, but, I take in a lot of things at once, stimulation. And I can observe many things at once. I can see and feel and hear. So in order to still some of those senses, I started to do Ashtanga yoga, because that was a yoga that was a prescribed method that you could do on your own in a hotel room, but it was designed for prepubescent Indian boys who couldn't, still their bodies enough to sit. And that has been my problem, like a lot of my life. Still the body. So now I do Ashtanga yoga every day. It's an 8-limb yoga. You study all 8 limbs at one time, unlike the way we study things in America. You add limbs as you can, and all those different limbs lend to your overall well-being. And it's a practice that you give to yourself, and it's a gift. So I give that gift to myself, and I feel like I'm getting deeper and deeper into it, and I have more of an appreciation for the divine elements and nature of what's circling all of us and available to all of us in our universe.
So I'll tell you this story. I said in the beginning I don't meditate. I actually had one experience where I was asked by my friends to go to a Vipassana. It's a 10 days silence retreat. Actually, it's 12 days. They lie to you. They say 10 days. It's actually 10 days net, because you have half a day before and half a day after. So 12 days, I counted, where you're not seeing anyone else. There's someone who gets you food, but altogether you don't really look at anyone else, and you sit for hours a day, starting at 4 a.m. This is a thing that they always start at 4 a.m. And you sit there and you try to look inside and figure out, let things emerge. I'll tell you in a second as a scientist what I learned from that. But as a person, I was dead bored. It was really bored. Nothing happened. And as a person, I always need stimulation. So to me, like the fear that I always have about meditation is you sit there for a while and nothing comes in. It's just you and yourself. It's really difficult. Now, as a scientist, I know that this is the key moment that your brain has to confront itself, and that's the moment where no inputs come in, and you actually have emerging thoughts that are buried downstairs. That's the good thing of meditation. The hard thing is just boredom. How do you not get bored after 40 minutes of silence and just like thinking inside, like, how do you not, like, for a person who likes stimulation, likes energy, how do you not get bored?
So when I started this Bhakti yoga, we'd sit for a long time. And 4 a.m., the reason 4 a.m. is the right time, between 4 and 6, it's a very high spiritual hour in the universe because things are a little bit stiller. And so that's why that timing is really good. But I was always told, if you, and in meditation, after you do your yoga, you're literally, you have a dristi, which is looking at your nose. When I do my Ashtanga practice, I'm not looking out around the room. I used to do vinyasa yoga, and I'd look at all the pretty girls, man. Downward dog was like, that was awesome. I'd be like, oh yeah, it was the thing to do. And then, I went to Ashtanga yoga, and you're heating your body with your breath. By Ujjayi Pranayama, the deeper breath, you're heating the inside of your body from the inside out, which is why you sweat. And the pranavayu, breath of life, is what does that. So you're cleaning impurities. And then you're focusing your energy. By looking at the tip of your nose, dristi, you're actually seeing more than you think you see. You actually see and feel the whole room, but you're not looking at anything in particular. You're looking inside while you're putting your leg behind your head and all this other stuff that you would do to still the body to be able to sit. How do you not get bored? Well, and then I was told that you would see the blue pearl, you'd see the blue light, you know, all that good stuff. So I chased that for a while. Now I just enjoy my breath. That's how I don't get bored. I completely let the thoughts go and come back to the breath to allow myself to understand or feel and merge with the rhythm of that breath and slowing that breath down. And one of the practices in Ashtanga Yoga is pranayama, which is holding the breath at the top of the breath and the bottom of the breath. And then to hold each nostril, which is starting to nadi shodhana, clean your nerves. But then, so that's how I don't get bored, is just to be able to be, I feel as if now I'm in the company of the divine, even if it's for 3 minutes. And I feel somehow clearer and everything becomes more crystallized. The idea is not to think things, is to let the thoughts go by. And the longer, and they'll come fast first when you're meditating. You'll have a lot of thoughts and you're going to want to attach to them. That's what we do as human beings. We attach to things. A good experience, I want to do it again. I attach to it. A good M&M, yellow, I only like the yellow. You know what I mean? You know, it's what we do, you know? It's sort of Skittles, you know? What do you like? You like the red or the green? You like the orange. So she's hooked on the orange, you know? And so you go to the bag and you pick out all the orange because that's, so we attach. And if we could not attach or try to practice that non-attachment, then we might find a little bit of our truer nature. I don't know if I answered your question.
There's a game that I like to play as a neuroscientist with the subjects. It's a fun experiment. It goes like that, and it pits together my view of this boredom and this craving for something else with the internal state of meditation that people go. It goes like that. You take two people, ideally people who are really good in getting to this state of meditation, and you put EEG system on their brains. So you put this machine that sits on the top of your head and basically measures electrical activity from your head. And then you tell them, here's the game. If you get relaxed, there's less activity in your brain. And if the other guy gets relaxed, there's less activity in their brain. We're going to play air hockey. You know this game, air hockey? When you have like this little disc and your job is to get it on the other goalie?
Yes.
So the disc is in the center, and the disc moves far from you if you're relaxed. And you basically get to hit the goal if you're totally relaxed. But the other guy has the same thing. So his disc goes, so the disc goes towards you if he's more relaxed. So the two of you are trying to get more relaxed, more in the zone, and move the ball, moves this disc. But as soon as it's this going in the other hand, you actually get excited, and then it goes away. So, so it's a game of keeping yourself not excited by something external. So it's a way for me to kind of pit this moment that I care about, the moment where your brain is somehow detached from the outside and really focused, not enjoying this excitement that something successfully happened, but actually staying there and at the same time being rewarded for winning in this competition. This to me is a moment that I always like to get to as a person, never successful, in that you actually get to a state where you let the inside control what's going on without being attached to anything that's outside. This is what I imagine it would be to succeed in that. Your thoughts?
I love this game. I want to play right now. I like it. I like field hockey. I like foosball. That's an interesting game to me because, you know, to control that disc, the control is kind of interesting to me too.
The successful thing is to be able to really experience something that's outside that's good and still not. So it's obviously to have bad things happen and learn how to not let them kind of affect you is one thing. But the hardest thing, I think, is to not let the good things affect you. The $100,000 commercial is, much harder in my mind, is much harder than the failed movie part.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What does it mean? You know, you see, you use two words, bad and good. You know, that's a judgment. What does that mean? It means something to each and every one of us, but what does it really mean? Is there bad? Is there good? Someone I know passes away who I really liked at a very young age. That's a terrible thing happened, a tragic thing, a bad thing. But that timing of their timing, it might be a good thing for them. You know, so I want to live happily and without misery. And I want to live without judgment. I'm working on my judgment now. Because like judgment is a sneaky one. It's sneaky. You just look at somebody, it just happens. You know, and I want to live more calmly. And we're in a world, man, like, you know, we have all of these things pulling us. Advertising, people, friends who tell us what's good, bad, television, if you watch television, film, oh, that was beautiful, it told a great story that I really relate to, violence that happens in front of us. All of these things go on, and we get rocked by them. And the thing about yoga and meditation, and you have to do it a little while. You know, and I tell people, don't sit down and try to sit for 45 minutes. Sit for 5 minutes. Have a good experience. Then you want the good experience again. Then sit for 10 minutes. Then you'll sit for 15 minutes. See, when you sit for 45 minutes and the body is hurt and you can't sit there right, and then you're not going to go back to it. You don't find peace in it. But in the world in which I live, my life has become so fast-paced that I rely on yoga to keep me clean. Because what happens when you get tired? What happens when you're trying to talk to somebody and you know, in my life now, people come at me from every angle for autographs, this, that, or the other. What happens to me? I get irritated, right? I get impatient. I can't just be here now because what happens in the brain? I have to ask you, that fright or flight. I got off, I worked all night, just by my own example, and I thought, how will I ever do this? You know, I sat in my trailer, I breathe, I make that a practice that I do, even if it's 5 minutes, so I can lend my whole being to what the word is. So there's no Giancarlo left, because I'm playing this guy Tom Neville, or I'm playing this guy Gustavo Fring, and I want everything to go to that, right? So then I got off at 7, I went home, I packed, I stressed about, I'm not home for 10 days, I gotta go here and there, and blah, 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 and I got out of the house, and I got on the plane, and I started laughing, because I thought, see, there's your mind. Your mind is telling you, oh my God, here you go. Everything's gonna go wrong. You're gonna be late. You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna, you know, whatever. And I get off at JFK, the bag doesn't come out. That makes me a little later. There are 10 people there. How do these people know I'm on this plane with 50 pictures apiece? And I say, guys, I can't sign all these. I just don't have the time. I'd love to. I know this is your livelihood. So then I start to go, it's all good. It's all right. You know, hire that divine that's inside me to not get flipped out and to not worry and to not freak about what is happening, because what's happening is what's happening now. See, why would I want to be anyplace else than sitting here with you? You know what I mean? Like, completely. So back to where I started, the phone, the technology, you know. How many of you have phones out there that are on right now and might be buzzing and beeping and doing all those things, and we got a camera I can hear and I see another one and all that stuff. We think we can I can talk to you and give all of myself and check out what movies are coming, but I'm not giving you all of myself. I can hear you, I heard you laugh, I heard that, yeah, I got it all, yeah. I can multitask because I'm a badass. But can you really multitask? Are you really giving me all of your undivided consciousness?
You know, every time I give a talk, a science talk, I speak about my work, and then in the end someone comes to me and says, you know, I have a problem with memory. I don't remember things well. And I say, let's play a game. You go to a party, and you enter the party, and someone shakes your hand and says, my name is so-and-so, and you move away. And a second later, I ask you, what was the guy's name? And you don't remember. I said, this is not memory. It's not like you didn't remember something for 10 seconds. You never let the memory in. You think that you were there. You shook someone's hand, and you heard some voices coming out, but you never actually registered. So I think that more and more we call things, now they have a name for disorders. We call them ADHD. So we say, oh, I have ADHD. That's why I don't remember names. It's easy. Before you had that, you actually have to remember the name. So you just, okay, I'm going to actually put that attention. It's easier to just...
Yeah, it makes it okay, right? Yeah, I got a problem. Let me take some pills. It'll help my ADD, my HDD, whatever, the blue, the HDDs, the FTTs, you know what I mean?
Me and my friends are actually naming them. So we sit there and find the name for those. So let's call this something that's going to work out. Get a lot of attention.
I don't know. I think, for me, I know I'm in a happier place, and I encourage people to try to find what works for them. This works for me. It may not work for someone else.
Are you religious? I'm separating those two for a second. So you said you started as an older boy, and I'm trying to see if it's leading to that or it's independent for you. if it's a spiritual experience, but also religious
I'm
experience.
not religious anymore, I'm spiritual. I've learned and desire to learn about many different religions. They've really drawn me. I'm thinking in my mind as I speak to you, because you said you were from Israel?
I was raised there.
Yeah. So I had an incredible experience in Israel a few years ago, and had always wanted to go there and felt the energetic. I feel like we're all energy. You know, we're 90% water, so we're electrical. So that's why all you people who have your cell phones off might want to turn them off right now, because it's fucking with your energy. Come on. I mean, I'm not a scientist, and you could disagree with me, but you know, that's a little battery, a little transmitter, and you got your own transmitter. But we don't rely on our transmitter anymore. It's the problem. You know, we've forgotten all of the things that we could do, right? We know you all have had this experience. I mean, you think about someone and the phone rings and they're there. Why? Because you called them. You called them and asked them to call you, right? But we jam everything up. You know, I got this on my hip. I don't have my phone in my pocket, but you know, I can feel this energy on my hip. It's hot. I mean, it's warm. It's radiating. And we radiate just like it radiates. But we've forgotten that we can do that. Now, I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, is there, because like, I do really believe the brain's a computer, it's going to keep going. And I do believe in order to still that computer, I have to have some practice. But do you think that about the brain? What about sleep? Let me ask you about sleep.
It's my favorite topic. So here's I'll give you two answers that are interesting about it. First of all, we ran a study for a number of years about happiness. And this was kind of...
Happiness?
Happiness. Like,
just joking you. Happiness.
So we're trying to find out what makes people happy. And we tried all kinds of ways, looking at the brain, asking questions and such. And we came up with a list of things that make you very happy and a list of things that make you unhappy. And the top 5 things, the 5 things that make people the happiest, were interesting to me. And I'll list them to you, and you can tell me what you think about them, because they have to do with those mentions. So first of all, the number 1, the thing that makes people happiest, and far above number 2 at all, was sleep. So people who, and it's kind of interesting because it's not entirely clear if people that sleep well are happier, or people that are happier sleep well.
All right, so I'll just put something in there. I've had no sleep since the day before yesterday.
And happiness?
Not one. I don't know. Am I happy? I feel pretty fucking good.
So, you might have enough of the others. So I'll tell you what the others are, and I think that you compensate.
Okay, yeah, you're great. I'm sorry.
So happiness on this stage, happiness is pretty low. We're gonna try to recover with the other 2, with the other 4. So number 2, and this was the interesting one for me. Number 2 was social experiences. So people that let's say we have a lot of encounters with people, we talk a lot, we interact with people, are happier. And it made me think, so this is the result, I can interpret that by saying that it makes me think that the brain really looks for interactions, and it makes it really active. And that's why we're very happy when we have someone interact. But it counters number 3, which is spirituality. People that were spiritual and said that they experienced things like being inside their mind and focusing on themselves and not letting other inputs come out, actually were happier. So in a way, I feel that we're kind of compromising between those 2. We need a lot of inputs to become better, to have the brain change, to have us change ourselves. But then we need some moments to internalize that and to say, now no more inputs. I want to sit with myself and actually let the brain kind of interpret that. And some people say this is what's happening when you sleep. You actually sit down, you have no more inputs on the outside, and you actually have the thoughts of the day run by you, and you make a story of them. That's the dreams. But you also use that kind of 8 hours, 2 hours, 0 hours to sit there and let those encounters wrap up. You want to know the last 2, which are not relevant? The last 2 things that...
yeah.
So we said sleep, interactions, spirituality. Number 4 was exercise. And number 5 was volunteering. The top 2 were commuting to work. Apparently it makes us very unhappy. And the one above last was the only thing in the bad things that is actually social, and this was having lunch with your boss. Turns out that the only thing that's lucky for you don't have a boss. So maybe for you it's the manager, something like that.
He is not the boss of me.
So maybe, but I found it interesting that of the top 5, there are things that almost like are counterintuitive. There's things that sleep. It seems to be unrelated. Like it seems like something that just happened to us. We don't control it that much, and somehow it's the most important. And then there's those two almost opposing things. The thing that we do with ourselves alone, thinking, which maybe us in some kind of deity, but mostly us, and the interactions that come from someone else. This to me was a surprising thing.
I like it, man. I want to have lunch with
support?
you. Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I've been striving to just be a more truthful, honest servant. And I was always in service to myself, you know. I always had a dream that I had some kind of talent that I always regarded as a gift. And I had a childhood that was very rocky, and that gave me joy to perform. And then my ego got involved, and I thought, oh, I see other people who performed who weren't, you know, who I didn't think were as good as I was, and they were like passing me right and left. And then I went, okay, so why are they passing me? Well, because I'm not good enough. I could be better. So let me be better. Let me strive for something, and then I'll be passing them. And it never happened. And then I went, you know, why are you trying to get anywhere? Like, you love what you do. So why don't you just love it and be in that love and enjoyment and passion and serve that up? And then, you know, when I completely gave up the idea that I wanted to be this star or great actor or all these things, then all of a sudden it all just fell on my lap. And I started laughing. I was laughing with my kids. I just laughed. They said, what are you laughing at? I said, this is crazy, because all their kids, I walk into their high school and I get mauled. And then, can I have a picture for this person, that person? And I laugh now because I chased it, gave it up, found what my truth was surrounding why I do what I do, and then here it is. It's like torment. It's like now, it's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? But out of all that, it's made me a better servant. So what happens to the brain when it's stressed, you know? So I had a bunch of scenes last night, and they were heavy scenes. And one was reminiscent of my relationship with my father. But it was reverse.
We're going to make it like a therapy. Tell me more about your father.
Yes, I will. And I was playing in the scene my father's role. And the young actor who was playing my son, J.D. Pardo, was playing my role. And he was pleading. He was pleading to be heard. He was pleading to be seen. He was pleading not to be ignored anymore. And it's all in a context of a life and death situation. There's a gun on my back, a gun on my hip. He's got a gun. We're fighting a war, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that, you know, I had so much to say. And every time my words would go away because the emotions would come up, I'd get like a little tight. Like, what is that? It's like, what happens in your brain when that happens? My whole body would stiffen, and I'd have to go, like now, a lot of words came out of my mouth and I haven't breathed. And the fear of not being good enough, not delivering, especially now it all came and I'm regarded as that. And I have to fulfill that. I don't have to do anything, really, except to be present, I think. But answer my question.
Tough question, but I'll tell you.
Tough question. You're the neuroscientist.
You'll be surprised how little we know.
I like this guy.
I'll try. So here's the cool thing about the brain. We know very little about it, and we have access to even less. And a lot of the things that happen to us are the sum of things that happen underlying the hood, and we're kind of seeing the outcome, and we assume responsibility for that. Now I was just blabbering. Let me give you a clear example of that. We have here I'll tell you an experiment, and I'll use that to answer. So here's an experiment that we have that's pretty cool about free will. It goes like that. We take a person, and we look inside their brain. So here's a short 1-second explanation of what I do as a scientist. We take patients who have brain disorders, that requires surgery. So it's usually something severe that the only solution is to look inside their brain. And we bring them to the hospital and we open their brain. So we open a big part of their brain and we keep them there and we put electrodes inside their brain while they're awake to see what the problem is. There's a little button here and we want you to press the button whenever you want. So the button sits there and whenever you want to, you press the button. And you sit there and you press the button and when you press the button, light comes on. It's like there's a light in the room. We tell the guy, this is us saving data from your brain. So every time you press the button, we save data from your brain because we care about understanding how you make choices, how you choose when to do that. So now for the next half an hour, just sit there and press the button. And you can choose whenever you want to press the button. So this is you doing that every time. You sit there, you wait, you press the button, and so on. After a while, we start seeing in your brain the patterns that come to life before you press the button about 5 seconds before. So we know 5 seconds, in 5 seconds you're going to press the button. What we do then is do something like that. We don't tell the patient anything, but what we do is if we know at time 0 that you want to press the button, we wait 4.9 seconds, and then we turn the lights on by themselves. So the guy's about to press the button, and the light's already on. And there's a buzzer in the room. They say, what did you do? We told you not to press the button, and the light's already on. I'm sorry, doctor, I didn't mean to. It kind of happened by itself. Never mind, just don't do it again. Wait for it to be on. And the guy sits there and says, okay. And he's wishing to, and as soon as he gets there, the light's already on. And he says, look, I don't know what's going on. It just happens by itself. I said, never mind, just don't do it again. It's really, and then after a while, the guy realizes that we're fooling with him, and he knows that we have electrodes in our brain, so he knows what's going on. And then he tries to be, and that's the moment that I care about the most, he tries to outsmart his own brain. So he says, okay, I'm going to do it faster. But he can't do it faster because I'm sitting in the brain. So whatever he decided, it's going to happen. He says, I'm going to go with the right hand and choose the left. Whatever he does, we're sitting in his brain. And that's a moment that I think is to me, this is the moment that I care about as a scientist, and I think you care about as an actor and as a person who's engaged in meditation. It's the moment when you realize that your brain is there doing things, there's you doing something else, and you two are not necessarily in sync. And you have to kind of grasp over the other side. You want to get access to, so he knows that his brain telling me something that he doesn't want to tell me. It's there. He cannot control it. And that's a moment I think that to me, this would be a successful moment would be to get to the place where you actually get even better control of your brain, or you know what happens under the hood before choices are being made. To me, this is the moment that I care about as a person, as a scientist, and as someone who might get into this moment of meditation.
I care about it too, because what I find is the better I get at what I do, memorization of lines, putting that together with expression of spirit, for an inanimate object that's going to record it with a scene partner that allows it to really be full, because we don't have interactions alone. You had mentioned interactions. Interactions are important in what I do. But I find I can be in one part and the other part, because I can be saying the words and committed to them, but then somewhere in the first paragraph of what I'm saying, I realize I don't know the second paragraph. And the camera's rolling, and I'm trying to find it. Where's the link? Where's the link to that second paragraph that I'm trying to say? And I find it normally and I get through it, but I never feel connected to it. And it's not until I have learned the words, figured out in a way what the inflection might be, and have come to a place of play, that I know it so well I can play, that I'm not committed to doing it that exact same way every time. That's what makes good actors. You can just be free and play and let it find you. And then when I do a take where I don't know, I can't judge it. I don't know if it was good. I don't know if it was bad. I was so in it that I know nothing else. I have no clue. And that's the take. That's the time where I look at the director and they go, because I'm the old man in the sea now, so it's like, oh, whatever you want. The people are respectful. Do you want another one? And so the director comes to me and goes, and I go, I don't know. And so let's move on. Because when I don't know, I was completely involved in it, that I can't be out of it to judge it. And that's what I tell the students I teach. I tell them, if you are in the brain, you can't be completely in the brain and body and the words and spirit of what you're doing. Because in life, but you're saying I do. You're saying 5 seconds before you know it. So do I know it? 5 seconds before I know I don't know what I'm going to say. I have no freaking idea. I know that, but I'm a guy, you're a guy. Well, I don't want to, I just did. I judged you. You're a guy that's up here, right? You're in this area. That's your field. I could be completely wrong. I'm a guy that's in this area. You know what I mean? So I have a lot to learn from you, and I don't have anything, I don't know if I have anything to teach, because I'm giving that up. I just want to be. But I am interested in knowing what goes on for me in those moments where I've got to do things that are fluid and be in a place that my whole being is galvanized. I tell my acting students, because some people act just from here up. Words, lips, tongue, and teeth, all the things my mother taught me. Vowels, get the words right, get the inflection right, get the rhythm right. But then I realized that because I'm a physical human being, I teach my students, you can't leave your body behind. So your body helps you and use it. So talk about that.
We scientists say that the body is a way to move your brain from place to place. This is like
oh, I was right!
Carry it to places. I want to ask you one question, and then we're going to turn to the audience to let everyone else also ask a question. How easy is it for you? So for now, if I ask you to, I'm not going to ask you, so you can answer whatever you want. How easy is it for you to tune off this thing? So if I ask you right now, with all the audience and all the attention, to close your eyes and for 10 seconds get into the zone, how easy is it for you to do it right now? You can ignore everyone and just go there and
Yes, I can. I experienced it last night in a very busy makeup trailer with a lot of people talking at 3 o'clock in the morning. I went from one set to another set, and I had my work in front of me, and I just
You're frightening me. Working.
I was going to ask, you know, when we first came out, I didn't want to scare the audience, but you know, I don't really care anymore. But
that's going to be interesting. Ask that. I want to know what it is.
I was going to ask, you know, just to ask all of us to have some quiet time. Because when do we ever have the opportunity to experience just some quiet time together? You know, normally, you know, we're in our own little places to create a space for us to have some quiet time. So we have a good timing sense inside of us. It's 7:01, and we're going to open up for Q&A. But why don't we have, like, maybe just 3 minutes of quiet time together, and let's feel what that's like. And yeah, get comfortable. But you don't have to be in any particular position. You can just sit, you have your hands up, down on your lap, and just close your eyes and draw your breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wow. Thanks for that. Thank you all for being so courageous, so divine. Divine. Ah, it felt really good. It's called Ujjayi Pranayama. It's breathing from the back of my throat, so I'm able to hear it. Because once I'm able to hear it and connect with it, then I can follow it. I can follow it in and out of my body and know where it's going. Oftentimes in my Ashtanga practice, you know, I might be laying on the floor in a forward bend, and the teacher will come, and it's a bandha thing too. Bandhas are below, they're sort of between your anus and your pubic bone, and you pull them up and hold them because they give you lightness in your body. The teacher will come over and lay on me, and I'll do the Ujjayi breathing so that I can just relax more efficiently. So I do that as the road to get in. And then the breath slows down and gets quieter once I'm connected to that particular method, that way of breathing that allows me to get inside my body. So that's why you hear my breath. If you don't hear the breath, you want the breath to be louder than the thoughts. So, you know, I mean, my thoughts are pretty loud. So if I can get the breath to be louder than the thoughts for a while, and I'm focused on the breath, the thoughts go away. Well, in a yoga nidra, you shouldn't fall asleep. It's a guided sort of yoga that's in repose, and it's important to stay awake because you want to be able to recognize the connection of the self, where the self is. And to fall asleep goes into the sort of the dream state, the sleep state. That's a different state than being consciously awake. And that's what sort of the meditation does for you. It's a conscious wakefulness that is not a sleeping repose. It allows you to be really electric in that arena. And so I recommend trying not to fall asleep because it connects you with that conscious level of spirit that is you, that you want to experience, I think. I don't know if I said that as well as I could, but I think that's probably good. But when I first started meditating too, you know, I did the same thing until I sort of, it's practice and a little bit every day, and it brings you, those forces of that divine self, you are pure consciousness, pure. You're God consciousness. This is what we are. We're here to serve that, to be that light. It's the doubt. And when you get into that meditative state, the doubt gets taken away, that the lack of confidence, you don't need any of those things anymore. Which is why the yogis say, I'm nothing. You know, they're connected to that universal, whether you believe in God, goddess, it's yoga science. It is the way to heal parts of your body. It's the way to really realize the self that we're all experience all the time. We think the self is the person that has to decide about how you shave and how you look, and well, that's not the real self. So, you know, just try to stay awake.
So there's two kind of big things to remember, the neuroscience of meditation, and they're counterintuitive because one thing that happens when you actually get to the zone, when you actually are good, is that your brain is a lot more active. So there's something that scientists like to call the default network, which is how your brain looks when you're actually mostly awake but thinking about yourself. And what happens is that a lot of the brain that's very, very silent actually becomes very active at this moment. You can actually see that someone is suddenly awake, so to speak, brain-wise, when they're actually at this little time. For neuroscientists, we have actually, we break down all kinds of waves of activity in the brain, and there's a particular wave of activity that the brain goes to. Imagine that like a lot of cells in your brain are firing, and then they're silent, and firing, and silent in a particular pattern, and this pattern usually indicates that you're in a state that we call mindfulness or a meditative state. And if you care, it's a theta wave. It's a particular frequency, but it doesn't matter. There is a way for scientists to know when you're asleep, one pattern of activity, when you're at a meditative state, a different pattern of activity, or when you're awake with eyes closed, a different state. So for neuroscientists, we can actually see how a person is able to move from one to the other, back and so on. Can alert you when you're falling asleep and stop you.
I believe so. Give yourself the gift of some peace. It's a gift, an honoring. It's an honoring. And what are you sacrificing? To move forward in deepening who you are and your connection, you have to make a sacrifice. And the sacrifice is time. The sacrifice is your ego. There's some great, look, I think you've given me a gift all tonight, and I keep thinking of my brother, who was the first person who got me into a bhakti yoga. So I say to him, thank you, Vincent Frederick Romano Esposito. Thank you, Kedar, because he brought me for the first time to a place where I could find my road. But when we talk about being connected, I think the sadness and pain that exists for some people, the anger, the anxiousness, is because they don't feel connected. So we had a little quiet time together, and what did it make me feel? It made me feel connected to all of you. It made me understand once again that there's oneness in this room. Yes, and I ask that there be willingness and courage for people who'd never close their eyes and listen to their breath to be able to share in that oneness, because that oneness is phenomenal. But there's other things that bring that oneness, and it doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter what label's on it. Prayer is a meditation. I still pray with words. I still write because I believe that writing is an extension of your spirit on paper. It's not tapping. It's putting your stuff on paper. I believe in saying things in my meditation because intention, when you verbalize your intention, the world hears it immediately. I say to people, be careful what you say, because as soon as it's off your lips, it's on a vibratory level in the world. And okay, a young actor was on our show, right? And he goes, I'm not working enough. I'm only 1 day a week. Why did I take this? I should have just taken a recurring. I should never have taken the contract that tied me up. I just feel like I'm being wasted. And I said, be careful what you say. Be careful what you say, because right away, it's in the universe. 4 weeks later, he was written off the show. Because you know why? The universe says, oh, wait a minute, Moran. Hey, you're studying neuroscience. It makes you happy. Great, we made it happen. Look, he's sitting, neuroscientist, got his degree. Look at this beautiful man. Happy, smiley, fantastic, right? And everything's good, right? But then Moran, we see him sitting there. He's getting a little less happy, a little more curmudgeon-y. The job's not quite so good anymore, you know, and he says, one thought he has, a thought in his brain, maybe I should have been driving a cab. Boom, the universe, oh, wait a minute, Moran, we love you, Moran. The universe wants to serve you. It wants to give you what you want. And, he doesn't look happy now. Everything comes together and devises to help him be happy. So they give him a job as a cab driver. And then he's going to miss his job as a neuroscientist. And then the universe is like, well, you know, hey, the universe never gets impatient with you. It never says, I don't care. It wants to serve you up. So be careful and be clear and have an intention. So the other two things that we haven't talked about, gratitude. I feel so in gratitude to be sitting here with all of you right now. Gratitude. To be able just to talk about this. Now, you know, some of you may not agree. You can go and say, guy's a quack and blah, blah, blah. He's so different than Gus Fring. What a disappointment. Too bad. Gratitude for each other, for our universe. And gratitude for being able to breathe. Gratitude. I asked the cameraman last night, how are you doing today? He said, today's the best day of my life. Paya. Today is the best day of my life. I loved it. Gratitude. And what do we have to share? What is it? What keeps it moving? What keeps it grooving? What keeps it happy? What keeps it sad? What keeps us investigating? What keeps us connected? When do you feel the best? It's when you're in the expression of love. It's a big word, love. We want to be in love. Painful, we equate love with pain, so everyone's trying to escape that shit. Right? I equate love as being active. Love is active. Love is willingness. Love is gratitude. It's willingness to share who you really are. It's being out of fear. Fear is paralyzing. No good fear except healthy fear when you got to turn and run because your life depends on it. And even if you stand in that fear, more love comes out of that, as we know from people who have done it. Who said, so what? So what, my life? So what, my life for you? What? So what? What does it matter? Courage, facing fear, love, cultivating a loving atmosphere, quiet time, cultivating honoring of the self, of each other, respect, gratitude, love.